Hello and welcome along to the F1 Esports Series Pro Championship presented by Aramco. We're back, event number 2, Quali Show. What a first event we had. We had drama. We had Jarno Opmeer producing one of the greatest drives we've ever seen in F1 Esports Series history. We've got the likes of Lucas Blakely involved and also another man involved in the show who wasn't here last time. We're going to introduce him now, Mr. Nick Hamilton. Nick, thanks so much for at least, spending some time with us this time. Did you have a good time doing whatever you were doing last few weeks ago?
Yeah, I did. I had a better time than usually I do sitting next to you, Matt, on quality
Good.
shows.
All right, how long
it
has that been? 45 seconds?
Yeah, when it was weighing it up between the two, I chose, my other commitments.
OK, perfect. But actually, being serious now,
sure.
How are you? How are you looking forward to this event after all the things that kicked off in event number 1? There's a lot of storylines out there.
Yeah, no. Firstly, I'm well. Thank you very much for asking, Matt. And secondly, yeah, what a opening event have we had 2 weeks ago. Can't believe it was 2 weeks ago. Almost feels like it was yesterday. And I think there's a lot of drivers that are in the mix, especially Lucas Blakely, Barry Burman doing a fantastic job as well. I would say Lucas Blakely is definitely the most improved driver, I would say, from season to season at the moment. And hopefully he can continue in that right form. But the man of the moment, as always, Jarno Opmeer, what a fantastic drive last time out from him. It's full of it.
It's full of it. Let's take a look at the drivers' standings. And of course, Jarno Opmeer is at the top at the moment with 63 points, 14 points clear of Lucas Blakely, who really has risen to the challenge this season in his Aston Martin car. Then Barry Burman, someone that you mentioned there, Nick, of course, not really, winning any races, but certainly in the mix every single race, sort of top 5s, picking up lots of points, and that could really help McLaren Shadow's push in the team's championship later down the line. Then you've got the 2 Red Bulls in 4th and 8th, you can see there with Rasmussen and Kiefer. Of course, Kiefer having that incident out in Austria last time out as well.
And you're missing Avara Karaton in P5.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty good start for him as well.
Absolutely. He's shown some decent pace over the seasons, but this year he's been able to pick up some really decent points. So he'll be happy with that. There's the second page. Not expecting to see 2-time champion Brendan Lee down there with only 12 points for FDA Esports. And Danny Beresnay, very surprised to firstly see him on 0 points, and secondly for him to not get the call-up every single race. Why do you think that is, Nick?
I don't really know, Matt. It's obviously I'm not the manager of the team.
Are you not? Oh.
I'm not, believe it or not. No, I'm
sorry,
not.
I got you
unfortunately.
wrong.
I think if I was the manager, I think he would be in the seat. But it gives an opportunity for Josh Adowu as well to come in. And just to go back to Brendan Lee and David Tanitsa. I think Tanitsa in P10 in the championship.
11, yeah, he's on the second page,
And Lee in 11, I think, on the second page.
Oh, Lee, yeah, sorry,
So,
Lee, yeah.
yeah, it's
They're
all right,
both
mate.
not doing very
It's
well.
okay, don't worry,
I'm glad
leave it
that you've
to me.
ingrained it in your mind.
Yeah,
Let's take a look at the team standings before we mull over that drivers too much. And Mercedes, of course, with the help of Jarno Opmeer at the top of the standings as well. Aston Martin, Lucas Blakely flying the flag, 55 points in P2. Red Bull not out of it, Nick, by any stage. 43 points, 35 behind Mercedes. And we're going to leave this graphic up long enough for you to burn it into your brain, Nick. So I'm going to be testing you.
Sure.
But I think, obviously, we're looking at the top, but also at the bottom. Very surprised to see AlphaTauri, of course, the second team for Red Bull, on 0 points with the likes of Joni Tormula in the team with so much experience.
Yeah, well, taking the words straight out of my mouth, Matt. He's got a wealth of experience, very fast driver, hasn't he? He's one of these drivers as well. It doesn't show much emotion. Wears his heart on his sleeve type of guy. And yeah, it's a shame to see them down there struggling, but I don't think I wouldn't say they're struggling for pace. I think they've just been in the wrong place at the wrong time sometimes and not getting the points they deserve.
That's event 1 wrapped. Let's take a look at what's coming up for event number 2. And we have got 3 amazing tracks coming up over the next couple of days. Silverstone, Monza, Spa. Nick, your favourite track out of those 3?
I like all of them, Matt.
Oh,
I
on,
like
don't
all of them. Silverstone, the home of British motorsport. Monza, obviously, what an incredible circuit. It is down in Italy or up in Italy, wherever it is. And yeah, Spa, don't forget, you've got the fantastic Eau Rouge corner, which you'll never, ever, forget. And it's got so much to live for, to go on, and I think there's so many amazing opportunities to have, great races.
Yeah, it should be. There's a lot of overtaking opportunities. Of course, Silverstone being the first one that we see. Mm-hmm. Where's the time won and lost in Silverstone before we take a look at the highlights of what happened there?
I would say Silverstone's all about DRS in the races, DRS into Stowe, and also DRS into Brooklands, and I think getting good exits out of, the corners leading up to the long back straight, up Hanger Straight, and also the Wellington Straight. Lots of straights, and also the Hamilton Straight.
Which was named after you.
Named after
Yeah, of course.
Obviously.
Yeah, lovely stuff. So let's see if they took Nick's pointers in Silverstone Quali and find out what happened. Q1, of course, a lot of drivers having to jostle for position, traffic, etc. Joni Tormula waited till the very last second. A Brendan Lee tactic, it has to be said, leaving it right at the end to set a very quick lap time, which got him through to Q2, and it looks like he was about to have a nap, to be honest. And then you can see there, Freddie Rasmussen and Marcel Kiefer, 1 and 2, running that very gorgeous special turkey livery that they ran in real life, which was supposed to be for the Japanese Grand Prix, of course. And there you have it. So Weigang, Di Capua, Presneda, Van Erven and Caraton. Caraton was a big scalp after looking at the driver standings there, Nick, that he's running P5, I think it was, and out in Q1 last. For tonight's race.
We don't know what the detail is there, but there must be something wrong. Shame for him. He'll be right on board with Brendan Lee, coming across the line going P6 in Q2. Danny Moreno having to get this job done.
And he does, but the big scalp, Jarno Opmeer, out in Q2, starting P15 later. That is a huge scalp for the current championship leader. Lucas Blakely getting himself very much through to Q3, his nearest competitor in that championship. And yeah, he'll be very, very disappointed with that. But one to watch for sure. He's never to be written off, is he, Nick, after what we saw in China. And then finally, Q3. And Joni Tormula, the first to set a lap time in that session. But as the times tumbled, Freddie Rasmussen was looking incredibly strong at the front. But no emotion, of course.
Oh, obviously not. Doesn't look happy at all. I think there might be a smirk.
There's a little smirk, actually. I'm
smirk.
proud of him. Joni Tormula over the line, obviously very happy to be in Q3 and actually goes fastest towards the end of the session. Of course, the track evolving every single turn of the wheel. And Freddie Rasmussen, the first of the drivers to go into the .4s and would end up taking pole position. Lucas Blakely getting himself in the mix, P2 at that point. But Longate, he had something to say about that and wanted to start on the front row of the grid. And round the final corner, he set the second fastest time in qualifying, which gave us a Rasmussen, Longuet, Blakely top 3 in qualifying. And you can see right about here, the qualifying classification for round number 4, the British Grand Prix. Rasmussen taking pole, and the top 5 less than a tenth. But I'm thinking Brendan Lee may not be too happy with being just over 2 tenths away from Freddie Rasmussen on pole position. Marcel Kiefer down in 7th. Will be disappointing to see his teammate. Well, it'll be good for him to see his teammate on pole, but also disappointing from a personal performance.
Yeah, for sure. I think he knows he's got more in the tank. He's got more left in himself as well. And, you always want to perform at your best as soon as you come out of the blocks in F1 Esports, because any mistake, and you have to pay for it. Just want to have a big shout out to Josh Adowu there, doing a fantastic job. I think it's great that, McLaren are giving him the opportunity, and he's sort of taking it with both hands and doing a good job for the team.
Now, I did mention about Brendan Lee being a bit slower than pole time. We've actually got a lap comparison that I'd love you to take us around, if you possibly could.
We've only got 2 tenths of a difference in time, and you're not really going to see it. Both drivers so far looking pretty similar, I would say, through sector 1. This is the turn 3, turn 4 now, and now the exit down to the Wellington Straight. This is the first of the DRS zones. And you can see that they're still, at this moment in time, pretty even. And I think and believe that it's from the exit of Luffield, which is here, which you can see Freddie Rasmussen getting a better exit than Brendan Lee, and I think he's just carrying it all the way down the old pit straight into what used to be turn 1 at Copse. And you can see now Freddie starting to gap slightly, but this is really minuscule sort of stuff. It just shows how accurate these drivers are, and it's just general momentum, I think, is what Freddie has. There's no mistakes from Brendan at all, which is costing him these 2 tenths. Just as soon as they can get in on the throttle and making sure they make no mistakes heading into the last corners. And it doesn't look like much to me, but you can't really see 2 tenths of a second. It's a blink of an eye.
That's the difference, just that. That's crazy, isn't it? That's between the fastest and the slowest driver in Q3, and I think that sets us up beautifully for tonight's race. Now, Monza, let's talk about it, the Temple of Speed. Maybe, I guess, harder braking zones, but less corners, I'd say, maybe to make mistakes compared to Silverstone, would you say?
I mean, you can make mistakes at any corner, Matt. We just see you on your track guys.
Hey, stop it. Yeah, that's coming.
You can make mistakes at any corners, but I think braking is definitely going to be key here. Braking and then exit, traction, and really making sure that you maximise your exits here at Monza is super important. I think toe could be something to look at in terms of the races, making sure that you're in that slipstream as soon as possible and maximising everything you can. I think Monza is a hell of a circuit, everything can lead to a mistake. So, but we know these guys, they hardly make any mistakes at all.
Absolutely. Someone that does make mistakes is me. So if you want to take a look at this track guide that shows you how not to take Monza, then check this out. Welcome to the Temple of Speed, the Italian Grand Prix at Monza. And of course, I'm in a McLaren after Daniel Ricciardo's incredible victory this season in real life Formula One. Now you have to really focus. Very hard braking zone, 100-metre board. Slow it down if you can. Don't hit that orange sausage curb, otherwise you could be in big trouble indeed. Be careful on acceleration as well as you come out of that first chicane. And again, you are then greeted by another chicane. Monza loves hard braking zones and very difficult chicanes. Again, 100-metre board, actually maybe just afterwards, in fact. Run it through in 3rd gear, you can keep a lot of momentum through there. And now we're up to Lesmo 1. A bit of patience needed here. You can run the car out wide though, there's a nice bit of exit curb. But don't run too wide, otherwise you'll get your lap invalidated. You see the running theme, it's quite difficult on track limits for the F1 Esports drivers. We now have to focus towards Ascari. This is a place where you can gain a lot of time if you get momentum through here, but you can also throw your lap away. Now finally, this used to be called Parabolica until it was renamed, but deep down it's called Parabolica still in my heart. Fly the car in, 5th gear, try and keep as much momentum as possible, run it out wide, but not over that white line. Otherwise you will get invalidated for not only that lap, but the lap after as well. And there is a lap of Monza. Now, I think I was unnecessarily harsh on myself, Nick, to be honest. I kept it on the track for once.
Yeah.
Well,
Fantastic terminology there.
Yeah, you hated me saying
fly.
Yeah, you fly it in. You know, fly
Turn,
it in.
Last corner, yes. Fly
Any positive feedback or just all negative?
Well, I mean, you look like you drive well on the sim. Have you ever driven it in real life?
Look, here we go. You said it off camera and you're saying it on camera as well.
Yeah,
perfect. No. Have you? I don't want to know. Anyway, let's introduce our more preferred guest, at least my preferred guest. It is Steph. Welcome back, Steph.
Thank you very much.
Maybe some positivity to these sofas, because Nick was just ripping into my terminology. How are you? Welcome back. You had your first experience of F1 Esports a couple of weeks ago, and you couldn't get enough.
I know. I'm back by popular demand, apparently, by your popular demand. Sorry, Nick.
Wow.
But yeah, really happy to be
Shots
here.
fired.
It was only 2 weeks ago, so quite quick succession, but I'm back.
I absolutely love that. The first interaction you have with Nick on this show is just a beast. Brilliant. Love that. So, of course, we've just seen qualifying highlights from Silverstone. What did you kind of make of it? Was there any sort of surprises for you?
Oh, Jarno. Huge surprise. Leading the championship right now. What can you do in P15?
Well, last time it was pretty much winning when he had a bad qualifying session. What do you reckon he can do tonight?
Well, you never know with Jarno Opmeer. If there's someone that can do the job and turn it around, turn a bad performance in terms of qualifying around to a good race performance, it's going to be him. But with Silverstone, I don't think the undercut or the overcut is very strong, and I think all the drivers are very close in pace. I don't think there's going to be much drop-off at all, so it's going to be super difficult for him, I think.
Yeah, let's take a look at the Italian Grand Prix qualification driver lineup. And nothing changed, I believe, on this first page. It's as we've seen. Of course, you've got the two Alpine drivers there of Longuet and Donoso. Of course, Longuet very strong once again in qualifying this year. Can he get another pole position? We will find out very shortly. Of course, David Tanitza and Brendan Lee would love to do a great result at Monza. And then the second page, you've got Danny Beresne and Michael Romanidis, the changes for those two teams. Great to see Danny Beresne back after being subbed out. It's a shame to see that. He's one of the most experienced drivers on the field, but clearly highlights how close this whole field is and how much there's a step up every single season.
Yeah, you have to perform every year, day in, day out, weekend in, weekend out, or event in, event out. Either way, you've got to keep performing. And, it's a shame when some drivers get, swapped in and out, but that's the whole point of having three drivers at the end of the day. And it's got to keep on form. And if you're not in form, you get subbed out, and it gives up other opportunities to other drivers. And I think, having Danny Beresne not around for the last couple of races is a shame, but it's great to have him back in now.
Now, Steph, I hear you've been tasked with the job of going through previous Monza qualifications. What have you found?
Well, speaking of Danny Beresne, he is very, very good around Monza. I think he was on pole position in 2019.
No thinking, there it is.
As you can see from the graphic here. So, yeah, really strong around this circuit, but this time, this 1 minute 17.8 would only be good enough for P15 in 2020. So there's a bit of a change around in timings. And here we can see the 2020 qualification, and it's David Tanitza on pole. And yeah, in comparison, the 2019, we had Jarno Opmeer, he was down in 10th, and now up in 2nd. There was a difference of around just over 0.8 of a second, I believe. Matt, what do you think kind of causes those fluctuations? Because that's a huge amount of time to be able to gain from 1 year to the next.
Yeah, I mean, the games change, of course, they get quicker. Of course, we've got the new technical regulations for 2022 coming in, so I can't see these times being beaten when another new game from Codemasters comes out. Here is the lap from last year, and David Tinitz are absolutely on rails through Ascari. And yeah, there's all sorts of things. You know, there's setup work, there's clearly just more and more and more time on the game. Practice certainly does make perfect with these drivers. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they're able to do this year. I imagine it will be, well, maybe the quickest we've ever seen. We will find out, but David Tinitz are over the line. Of course, there's lots of different setup work that the drivers have to do. They find from each game the setups do change quite a bit. You wouldn't think Tinitz just stuck it on pole at Monza, you know, the home of Ferrari in that particular instance, and that bit of video there.
Yeah, it almost reminds me of Rasmussen.
Yeah.
But I think he was just having a bad season, wasn't really going to plan, and he expects himself to be on pole. You know, because he's done it in the past. He's won or been a champion in the past already. So, you know, I think he holds himself in high regard. And when he's not performing, you know, he's in a bit of a bad mood, like we all are. But yeah, I mean, let's see what he does today. It'll be interesting.
Absolutely. Steph, I hear you've also got a new, you've been busy. You've got a new segment as well that you've introduced to the show.
So I'm challenging all of us to do a new predictions challenge. I'm going to call it the front of the grid forecast. And we're basically going to predict who we think the top 4 in qualifying is going to be. Point for whichever you get right. We're going to add them all up at the end of the season and see who wins. So, as I mentioned last time, very competitive, so I am expecting to do quite well. But Matt, why don't you just take us through your top 4?
Sure. I mean, we'll pop it up on screen right now. And there you go. So, this is my top 4. Rasmussen, Blakely, Kiefer, Caraton. And then, Nick, you've gone for Otmir, Tinitz, Burraman, of course. You know, you're back in Barry the whole way this season. Yeah, that's good stuff. But you put Blakely in your top 4 as well. Steph, you didn't. You've gone for a Ferrari 1-3.
Do you know what? We're in Monza. It's the home of Ferrari. I believed in Red Bull last time out when we were around Austria, and I'm gonna stick. I think the team will do well.
Yeah, well,
fingers crossed.
I want to say I made my predictions before I saw the Silverstone qualifying, so I didn't know Rasmussen was back on form, you know, when I made my predictions. So maybe there's an omen there, and Rasmussen is back. Who knows? But at the end of the day, it's about a tenth of a second between the entire field a lot of the time. So it's a little bit of a lottery at the same time. But are you confident still with your picks, Nick?
Of course I'm confident. I mean, it was an educated guess, definitely. But as you said, the field's so close that, you know, one mistake, half a tenth could be like 5 places. So it's places.
Places. That's like a posh version of places.
Yes,
right?
yes, you say so.
Perfect. Whilst Nick's working out how to say places, I want you guys to basically rate our predictions. Let us know who you're backing. Also send in your own via the Twitch chat or via hashtag F1esports on Twitter. I wonder who they're all going to back. Probably me? You? You reckon you? Me. Steph, you're saying you're massively competitive. You've just come round here. You're creating segments in the show. You know, you're just that's going to be Steph's sofa soon, isn't it? There's going to be all sorts of things.
You know what? We were arguing, or you guys were arguing about whose show it was. Well, do you know what? Next time out, it's going to be the Steph show. So you just wait.
Oh, this is news to me. Okay, Nick, I think we're going to have to team up here, mate. I know we usually
you want to be a team
usually
now.
We're going against each other, but you know this one's making some moves. So, of course, Monza, let's talk about the actual track itself.
Sure.
Where's the time gained? You know, there are heavy braking zones, as I've mentioned. Is there any particular part of the circuit, especially as you've driven it, where you'd know where, you know, the drivers are going to be thinking, I need to nail this part?
I would say braking into turn 1 for sure is going to be one key, well, probably the first key place. And then you've got obviously the second chicane, which is all about braking, but then carrying good momentum through the left and right. And also you've got to be careful because if you drop a wheel into the gravel on the left-hand side, which you see quite a lot of time in real life F1, you know, then your lap's out the window. Then you've got, you know, the 2 Lesmos, which is all about minimum speed through there. You know, you're asking for one place. You know, where is the most important place? But really, the whole circuit is all about carrying that speed. You know, especially Ascari as well. So I basically just said the whole circuit.
I mean,
thanks for that insight.
Yeah. To be fair, you're not lying. You're not lying. The whole circuit is where you gain time.
It really is.
As you probably can see on your screens right now, Q1 has begun. We've got a lot of outlaps out there at the moment. And there you go, full screen. We're going to see some lap times. David Tinitz out there on the medium tyres, which is, well, Steph's pick for pole position is David Tinitz, 2 years ago, the champion. Can he put that Ferrari where it belongs around Monza and get it into Q3 at the very least. It's going to be very interesting to see. So we've got a yellow flag out there in Sector 3. I wonder if someone's gone a little bit too fast into Ascari, perhaps. But Tanitsa on his way through Lesmo 1 and then Lesmo 2. It's very easy to remember. And then he'll have a long straight before he goes down towards Ascari. And I think that's a really important corner in order to maintain momentum through there and then all the way down to the last corner, which still in my heart is called Parabolica, but you know, that's just because I hate change.
What is the actual name of the last
Curva Alboreto.
Curva Alboreto. Maybe eventually it'll stick.
I don't think it will, you know.
No?
No.
I get what they're trying to do.
It doesn't sound the same, does it? It doesn't have the same ring to it.
I just feel like they should have named another corner it. I feel like this one... Anyway, Tanitsa around the final corner. Weigang has set the fastest time, but he's the only one to have set a lap time. Tanitsa comes over and beats it by a tenth. We expect the times to tumble as we continue on through this session. Sebastian Job goes fastest. Forget that, it's Lucas Blakely now. So we can see times already tumbling out there. But fully expect them to be, well, into the 19s, 18s perhaps. But probably not the 17s that we've seen in the past, unless the track really does evolve. But of course, we are on the medium tyres as well, don't forget, which has a decent-sized pace differential between that and the softs. Here's Brendan Lee, David Tanitsa's teammate, heading towards the Curva Alboreto. Round the final corner we go. And let's see where he places that Ferrari. Of course, you know, you want to get in a good banker, but at the same time, a lot of the drivers may stick on well, a lot of them, if not all of them, will go onto the soft tyres. This is mainly just a shakedown lap, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, they're not on full beans at the moment. They're just getting their first couple of laps in and blowing off those cobwebs, even though I know that these guys practice a lot. There'll be no cobwebs whatsoever. But also, you know, there is nerves, especially for qualifying. You want to do a good job and get yourself in a good position to start the race. So yeah, these are just the first initial laps. But I think as the track starts to evolve, the grip will come up and we'll see some really interesting lap times. Super fast lap times already. Lucas Blakely nearly into the 119s.
On the medium tyre as well. And what we've actually not talked about is kind of Monza and the traffic situation, because we know that that is reflected in real Formula One as well, that especially in Q1 when you have 20 cars on the grid, where do you find the space? Where is the room to set these lap times? So do you guys think that we're going to end up with, you know, a lot of traffic at the end of the session, the last 2, 3, 4 minutes?
Yeah, it's something to watch out for sure. You know, as you say, it's a short track in terms of lap time, but fortunately it's a very high-speed track, so they might be able to find enough space to each do a lap time, and you know, as long as they're not within any closer than 2-3 seconds, then they should be okay. I'm just taking a look at some of the qualification predictions that you guys have been sending in using hashtag F1 Esports. I did ask for top 4, but this Twitter is Dubba Wublub. Says it's going to be Otmir, Burramund, Blakely, top 3. So they don't get a point for 4th because they didn't send me one. We've also got one from Sorbo05. It's going to be Otmir, Blakely, Longay, Lee, the top 4. And another one from FCB fan 53007. Going to be Otmir, Rasmussen, Blakely and Tanitsa. So thank you so much for your submissions, everybody. Please keep using the hashtag F1 Esports throughout the show. And Alvaro Caraton, who is currently fastest out there, I popped him in my top 5, so he's looking reasonably confident.
Did you actually, Matt?
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I did. Well, it wouldn't give me any points if he's on pole. So yeah, that's an interesting thing. But of course, it will change. This is, as I say, just shakedowns. But it's interesting to see if this was all on mediums and everyone's just going full pedal to the metal, who would be fastest. And right now it's Caraton. Danny Beresnay, we've already said we're very happy to see him back in that McLaren. Can he prove his worth in that team to potentially get a permanent slot for the rest of the season? Or I wonder if McLaren have just gone, it doesn't matter who you are, how many races you've done. We've decided to sort of spread the eggs in a couple of baskets and said, right, Danny, you focus on this, that and the other. And, you know, Josh Adowu can go for the other tracks. You know, it feels that way that they're genuinely splitting the resource.
Yeah, I think splitting the resource may be good for the team, but not necessarily good for Danny Berezna. I'm sure he wanted to be in the seat all the way through the season, and you know, I see Josh Adowu as a new driver coming in, you know, with nowhere near as much of experience as Danny Berezna, and I think you know, Danny be wanting to make sure that if there was any chopping and changing goes around, that Danny keeps his seat, and Barry Beaumont is the person that they maybe swap Josh in and out for. But at the end of the day, you know, the team have got to do what's right for the team as a whole, and Barry Beaumont has done a solid job so far. So you know, if I was the team manager of McLaren, I definitely wouldn't be swapping him out.
No, absolutely not. You're quite right that Barry has been there every single race so far.
Hashtag back Barry.
Hashtag back Barry. Is that a thing that you've just made up?
I've just made it up on the spot. No.
Okay.
I like that.
Back Barry.
Back Barry.
The alliteration.
Yes, yeah, we do love a bit of alliteration here on this show. Interesting stuff. So we are now waiting, as we are back in vision, hello everybody, we're waiting to see the soft tyres be whacked on, basically. Q1 is a slow burner.
That's another great terminology for you there.
What?
Whack those softs on.
Yeah.
Whack them on.
God, you're just a walking dictionary today, aren't you?
Whack those softs. Oh, this is my iPad, by the way. I can't really see the lap times. They're too far away for the screen for me.
I love how you're explaining. Like, I promise I'm not playing games on here. I am looking at the timing.
Candy Crush.
Yeah, unfortunately, Steph, sorry, we couldn't afford 3 of them. So you're just going to have to go off our commentary. You will get one. Oh, I've just been told when it's your show next year.
Yep, that's what I'm thinking.
I should have stopped talking at that point, but alas, I continue.
Don't worry, I'm patient. I can wait.
So, right, out there at the moment, Sebastian Job has set the fastest first sector. So I wonder, is he already out on the soft tyres? Johnny Tormula is. Yep, so that is a move to set an early Q1 lap time on the soft tyres, and we'll see exactly how much faster those red-walled tyres are. Johnny Tormula seems as though he's not pushing too hard out there at the moment. Let's have a look. What's his middle sector saying? He lost a 10th to Job in the middle sector. You can see all the cars getting out of the way on the right-hand side there. So no problems for traffic for Johnny Tormula around the final corner. Where is Sebastian Job in all of this? He's only P7 at the moment. He's actually behind. Tormula goes fastest on a 19.3. And Job has made a mistake. That's why I was surprised to not see him out there. He was 5 seconds off the pace in that final sector. So I wonder if there was a mistake through Ascari. It's a very difficult corner to get right. Lucas is nearly 6/10 up on his best lap time. Absolutely nailing Ascari through there, keeping all the momentum up as we head towards the final corner. And you fly it in. This is the technical term, Nick. Fly it into the apex. There you go. Keep the momentum up. Let it run wide. Maybe left half a tenth on the table there, but that's the thinking of Q1 perhaps, and just getting a banker in. And Lucas over the line at 19.194 to set the fastest lap time so far. But we've got a lot of soft tyres out there. Sebastian Job has set the fastest first sector of anybody. The 26.244, which is 700ths quicker than what Blakely managed. Rasmussen heads to the top of the timesheets now. 7 thousandths quicker than Blakely. Weigang slots into P3. I'm noticing there is a reasonable difference between Michael Romanidis on the 19.4 and Rasmussen on the 19.1. Marcel Kiefer, I don't know if that's going to be good enough with a 19.374 either, so he's going to have to go again. And now we should see faster and faster lap times. Your man Barry, Nick, has done the fastest first sector of anybody. So he's flying out there as well. Caraton over the line goes P4, Steph.
Decent.
Nice.
What more can you say? I feel like these are not the final times, so how can you say that he's safe? I feel like Blakely's done a good job in those low 119s. I feel like they are. Oh, and Brendan Lee's gone even faster as well. Look at how close that is as well. With just on the 119 ones, we have 4 drivers currently.
Make that 5.
5 drivers. I can't say anything. And Jarno, I think that's his first lap as well that he set, because he was not out for a
he
large
didn't bother
portion.
with the shakedowns,
so,
did he? He just didn't bother at all.
And he's gone straight to the top of the leaderboard. So, alas, he didn't need it.
He did not need those shakedowns. Jarno, fastest at the moment. Longate slots into P6 at the moment. And as I was mentioning, Marcel's 19.3 has now caused him to be 16th in the classification at the moment. So definitely not good enough for the Red Bull driver. He's going to have to go again. Freddie Rasmussen, his teammate, sitting in P5 at the moment. Let's hear from Lucas Blakely and what he's saying in this qualifying session.
What a first goal, let's go. That was decent for our first try. Let's keep going.
Yeah, I genuinely thought he was about to say something else, to be honest. And
Also,
only P6, but Lucas sounds like he's just got pole position. So Lucas very happy with a 19.194. Maybe not so happy now that he's seen he's down in P6, but I think he believes that will easily get him through the cut-off. It seems as though the cut-off is going to be a 0.2 at this rate, unless the track really does evolve and we get into the 0.1s, but that is the fastest lap time we have, is in a 0.1 as well with Jarno Opmeer. Fabrizio Donoso, how's he doing out there at the moment? First sector, 10th and a half down, middle sector, a 10th down as well. I don't think this is going to set the world alight. Let's come over the line with Donoso as we hear some more team radio.
Yeah, we knew it's going to be close.
Yeah, this is going to be the closest quali, I think.
Yeah, we'll see. Just do us, and that should be fine.
Yeah.
Doing our job for us there. The closest quali they think. So my brain may be about to explode, Nick. You know how much I love a small interval time between a lot of drivers.
Yeah, and close they are between Nicholas Longate and Fabrizio Donoso. 0.004 of a second.
and then between Donoso and Marcel, 1,000th of a second.
And then 5 more to Moreno, 2 more to Caraton. This is ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
So it's almost like Jarno's got a massive lead with his 15 thousandths ahead of Brendan Lee.
That's quick maths.
Yeah,
Good job with that.
Thank you. It's simple subtraction, but the middle sector has just been set alight by, well, it was actually with Caraton, but he's in the pits now. So Caraton was looking very good, but he's down in P11, so may have decided not to go with that one. Presneda is out there and has set the fastest middle sector, but he's actually also in the pits. So I'm seeing purple sectors, but they must have then abandoned them, or it was not good enough. So Donoso, the only driver out there at the moment, and he has set the fastest middle sector of anybody, but he is also coming into the pits. So it feels like they might be cutting corners. That's my question there. But here we go, Donoso into the pits, and we await the final flurry of cars. We might see some traffic problems. 3 minutes and 9 seconds to go. Do you reckon we're going to see some angry team radio stuff?
Oh, definitely, yeah, definitely. Yeah, this is the calm before the storm, isn't it? And the storm's going to come if a driver can't get their lap set. So who's in the bottom at the minute that will want to set faster times? Yanni Tormala, he'll want a quicker lap.
Beresnay on the cusp, yeah.
Yeah,
good
so
point.
there's a lot of drivers who have the speed and capability to be a lot higher.
Your prediction as well for
Currently
pole,
on.
Tanitsa. He's currently down in 13th position, so not safe at all either. But he's sat on a...
I'm not worried for him.
No, you're not worried?
First and third.
Yeah.
Highest average, what do you call it? Position?
Previous qualifying positions?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
So
Monza.
they're the most successful
Yeah, exactly.
that we've done in this F1
But
Esports
this is the
series.
thing, because you see
Monza.
Tanitsa, and you say he's down in 13th, but 1/10 of a second would put him P3.
Yep.
So
That's
really,
the beauty.
if you think about it, there's no driver is really safe at any moment, because if everyone finds a 10th of a second, which is obviously hard to find when you're at this level, but it is definitely possible, you could find yourself going from P3 to P33.
P33?
You know what I mean?
You're starting in the middle sector,
You know
right?
what I mean, though, right? You know what I mean.
I know what you mean. There's a lot of places to be lost with such a small amount of time.
Yep.
Yanni Tormala into the first couple of corners. Just to mention, we are about 15 seconds faster than where we actually are for the drivers. So it's about 1 minute 45 right now to go. If you're wondering why some drivers are still in the pits, they will all get a lap time in unless they severely misjudge it. Yanni Tormala, 83 thousandths up on his first sector time. And where is Tormala? He's sat on a 19.391 at the moment, but that first sector is very comparable to the fastest first sector we have seen so far in this qualifying session. So this could thrust Yanni Tormala from P19, but he goes a little bit wide, dips a wheel onto the grass, and half a tenth is all it really needs to be knocked out in Q1. Let's see
think
what
he's backed out of this,
sector.
no?
Yeah, he's 4 tenths down now.
Yep.
So that mistake through Lesmo 2. So the eagle-eyed of us, Nick Hamilton, thank you so much for that. He's going to back out of that, hope he's got enough energy, and go again on slightly more worn soft tyres. Pressure on Yanni Tormala now. He's going to have to find a 10th and a half, 2 tenths even. to safely make it through to Q2. Cedric Tomé also well, he's actually 19th. Yanni Tourmalet now down to last, and Tomé has also backed out of it and is going to go again. So this lap was not good enough for Tomé, and he starts one more lap time. Freddie Rasmussen goes fastest, the first driver into the 1:19 flats, as Cedric Tomé tries to get on his way to making it through to Q2. Marcel Kiefer goes to P7, joins the 0.1 club. Lucas Blakely just ahead of him, 0.02 of a second separating those two. So Blakely, I believe, improved, but actually no, he's on a lap time now, is Blakely. Half a tenth down on the fastest through that first sector. Marcel Kiefer might be a little bit concerned in 9th place. Depends how many improvements we see out there. Danny Moreno, 13th. That's a lot of pressure on the Mercedes driver's shoulders. Is he on a good lap? He is actually. That middle sector is very quick indeed. First sector, a little bit of time left on the table, but it should be good enough as long as this last sector's good. Danny Moreno over the line, goes P2.
Sorry, I just
It's
need
fine.
to.
You sound shocked, so
I
I'll
just
let you-
need to talk about Danny Berezne because he's crossed
Oh,
the
yeah.
line.
I can see
in
why the gas.
P15, so he's right on the cusp. If anyone below him manages to improve, he's out.
Out, yeah.
And that is not what I expected whatsoever.
And this is the track that he's been preparing for
I know.
McLaren Shadow, and it's all on the shoulders of Daniele Haddad, Michael Romanidis or Cedric Tomé. Is anybody out there improving? Haddad is probably the most likely candidate to displace Daniel Berezne, and that would be such a shock. Romanidis goes 16th, so does not get ahead of Danny Berezne. Does Haddad? He does. Danny Berezne is out in Q1. Oh, what a shock. He is going to be absolutely devastated with that. Does Romanidis make his way out of Q1? No, he does not. So it's Berezne, Romanidis, Tomé, Fresneda and Tourmalet.
Yeah.
So two big names in Berezne and Tourmalet. I say that even though AlphaTauri have not scored any points, but Tourmalet is still a big name in this series. Out in Q1, Nick.
Yeah, I think Tourmalet, it's a shame for him because I think he took a lot out of his tyres in the first and middle sectors, basically, before he made his slight mistake. So that meant when he had to go again, you know, he's missed the peak of the tyre, and I think that's cost him time. So that's the reason why he's down, all the way down in P20, which is a real shame. Definitely doesn't deserve to be there. And Danny Berezne, yeah, what a shame for him.
Would you say some of that, though, Nick, is Danny Berezne not being, like, match fit in a football term, I suppose, where, you know, you're constantly swapped in and out?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, if you I don't know F1 Esports like the back of my hand, but I'm sure that, you know, when you're not in the seat as such, you're still practicing, you know, constantly. You're still with the team, practicing with the team as well, you know, and so he's definitely not match fit as such, but he's got so much experience that he should be able to turn it on like a switch and do the job.
You should be able to, yeah. But I guess, you know, you can't really replicate that feeling of being under the lights and, you know, you have all the pressure on you. A bit like you in your debut last time, Steph. You know, you can't replicate that as much as you try and rehearse it and, you know, say what you're going to say.
Yeah, put
until
the
you're
bathroom
there.
lights on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Is that how you do it?
It's not the same thing.
No, but you can't replicate that pressure, can you? So that's maybe where Danny Berezne has struggled a little bit.
Exactly, and he's not been in the seat permanently like we've seen him in previous seasons as well, which is probably, you know, throwing him off his game a little bit. So it's disappointing. I'm disappointed.
You're
But
disappointed?
I'm just glad
yeah.
I didn't put him in my top 4.
Yeah, but it's only half a tenth, and he's in there.
I know, and that's probably his race pretty much run at this point, because I know we've seen, unless we get changeable conditions, of course, you know, we have to kind of say this with the caveat of Otmir at China, you know, and he managed an amazing result, but that's something we don't tend to see. And if we get a dry race, Berezne's got a lot of work to do to even score 1 point.
Yeah, and I think there's going to be a DRS train really in this circuit. I don't think there's going to be a lot of overtaking. So, you know, qualifying is 1,000%, you know, more important than most circuits just because of that situation. So yeah, Danny Berezne's got a lot of work to do.
And Donoso ended up being the fastest driver in Q1, which was maybe a little bit of a shock to all of us. But of course, that's not where the grid is settled. None of us had Donoso in our top 4. Do you wish you'd put him in now?
No.
No?
Sorry, Fab. I still think the other drivers kind of, once they get into it, they'll be much quicker. But yeah, Fab's had a great start to his season, I think. So I don't know. I could be completely wrong. Maybe he does deserve to be in my top 4. Who knows?
Let's see. Fab was fab. Let's take a look at the eliminated drivers for Q1. It's Berezny, Romanidis, Tomei, Presneda and Tormula out. And they all have very difficult jobs ahead of them. Shame for Tomei as well. Still trying to get Haas off that 0 point mark in the team's championship. And Presneda as well, maybe a little bit disappointed to see that, but no more than Joni Tormula, who, I mean, again, he's not the most emotional driver. You're not going to see him punching the steering wheel, but I'm sure starting 20th place is not where he wanted to be. You did mention the DRS train, Nick. There is still opportunities to overtake and you know, make a strategy work. For drivers like that, you've got to go for a ridiculously strange strategy, haven't you? Like, you know, for example, Jarno Opmeer tried to make the, you know, the really, you know, like, for example, in China, he went completely against the grain, didn't he? He went straight to, OK, I'm going to stick on Inters. No one else is going to do that. Yep. It was risky, it was a gamble, but that's where you make up the positions, isn't it? Yeah,
you have to. I mean, especially for Tormula, he's got nothing to lose. You know, if it goes wrong, he'll end up out of the points. Well, he's out of the points anyway, so you might as well go for it at the moment. And as you said, yeah, go against the grain. So do something drastic, if I was him, and try and do something in terms of strategy, especially with battery as well. I think would be very important to make some good overtakes and maybe catch some people out. Absolutely. Now, there's 3 of us here, but there's also a man preparing for this evening's show, Mr. Tom Deacon. Tom,
yep.
How are you?
Oh, do you know what? I thought it was my introduction, going against the grain. That's what I've been doing for years. Hasn't paid off yet, but it's an absolute delight to be as far away from you as possible in the studio.
Yeah, we could have got an extra sofa, but we decided to put you there.
That's budget cuts for you. Not an extra iPad for Steph, and not an extra seat for me. But it's an absolute delight. And just seeing the creme de la creme race head-to-head, and there is nothing in it. I'm not imagining those 5 drivers that have gone out, Torma, Presneda, Tomei, Berezny, and Romanidis, are all thinking, how could I have done that better? It's a 10th, you know, barely even 100, nothing in it. So it really is incredible to watch, and I tell you what, I reckon Freddie's going to go back-to-back and get a pole position.
Oh, you go with me, because I predicted that. Hello.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah,
I got you.
You're sad.
Go on, Tom. What are your top 4 predictions?
Yeah, I was going to say you're sad that you didn't get your own column. That was a bit mean of you, Steph. Why didn't you ask Tom as well?
Sorry, I'm asking Tom now, so please do enlighten us.
I will enlighten you, and I feel friendly chat from you, Steph, early doors. You've been hanging around with Nick and Matt for too long. There's an edge to you now, which I love. So listen, top 4. I think Freddie Rasmussen is going to be there or thereabouts. Jarno, been fantastic. An outsider, Daniele Haddad, a very, very fast driver, and I feel like if everything goes right for him, he was very unlucky in the first event. They got shunted by an AlphaTauri, name no names, off the track. So I think Daniele Haddad's got the pace, and you can't write out Lucas Blakely. So I reckon the Aston Martin's going to be up in the top 4.
OK, so Haddad up there in the top 4.
Why not?
No, why not?
Go against the grain.
Caution to the wind.
Yeah,
I love that.
Nick Hamilton, how are you? I've missed you.
I missed you, Tom. How are you doing, bud?
Yes, I'm pumped. I'm genuinely pumped for this. This is a Spa. Doesn't get any better than that.
Absolutely love having you on the show, Tom.
Fist pump from him.
It's a shame I can't see your glorious note-filled notepad.
I wondered what you were going to say there. Like you thought, I wonder what Lucas Blakely's going to say. The notepad is here.
What's it got? Have you got any wonders in there today?
Oh, Matt, it's too soon. When we're trying to fill time when everyone's pitting.
Well, I mean, this is the shakedown laps. So I mean, you can, but they're actually already out there actually. So maybe we need to go full screen and see. Oh no, they all go back into the pits. Tom, what's in your notepad?
Hello. Well, Matt, to quote Lucas Blakely, if you'll allow me to, he says, with Spa, a very random track, his words, not mine, and he says, you have got no choice, but you are just going to have to send it. You're welcome, Matt.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate that. You're our correspondent on the desk. I really appreciate that. For people wondering, the times that are currently being set, a lot of those, if not all of them, will be on a worn set of softs, as we've seen in previous quali shows. So right now at the top is Freddie Rasmussen. But of course, we've still got 5 drivers out there that haven't set a lap time. Nick, you've got your hand up.
I've got my hand up, sir.
Yes, please, carry on.
Sure.
Thank you.
So, you know, with this whole worn set of softs situation, and the fact that on a worn set of softs, Rasmussen was able to get a 19.2, you know, why couldn't Joni Tormula improve on his 19.3. to
Wow,
actually
poor
get it
Yanni.
through. No, I'm not.
Is this a Yanni bashing?
No, I'm not having a go at him. What I'm saying is, he clearly had the opportunity to still get those tyres, or to use the tyres and to get a 19.2, which would have put him through. And I'm sure Yanni Thomas got the talent and the experience and the pace to do so. So, you know, what a shame that it didn't sort of work out for him.
I guess just to add to that slightly is that between Q1, Q2, Q3, the track does naturally get a bit quicker anyway, so it helps with the... obviously, their tyres aren't particularly worn, and you make a great point that he's probably on 1 lap old softs. He could still have achieved the 19.2, absolutely.
But maybe the evolution from Q1 to Q2 in the game is a lot higher than I was expecting.
Yeah, it's only a couple of tenths, but it obviously helps.
A couple of tenths is everything.
Look good. Yeah, exactly. That's literally between first and last. So, yeah, interesting to watch that and see if they dip into the 18s by the end of this qualifying session. Lucas Blakely out there at the moment. A little bit of a correction on the steering wheel there. That'll cost him half a tenth. Just not getting that precise turn-in is, it might look minor, but if you don't get your turn-in point correct the first time, that's a bit of time, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it can definitely put you out of shape, put you offline, and just being offline a tiny bit, especially in the F1 Esports series, you're going to lose, you know, half a tenth, and that is the difference between, you know, 5th and 15th. So, yeah, little bits to work on throughout this lap for Lucas Blakely. It's not the worst of laps. It's looking pretty tidy still. As we head into the last corner. I'm not going to call it its new name because I prefer the Parabolica, but
you guys are going to have F1 breathing down your throat saying, use the right corner name.
Use the right corner names.
Curva Alboreto,
19.2.
previously known as Parabolica. That's how we do it.
Fine.
Marcel Kiefer round the final corner.
Ooh,
very close to track limits
track
there.
Limits?
He's going to come over the line, so I'd imagine it was not track limits, and it was not. It's a P6 at the moment for Marcel Kiefer. Maybe just lacking a little bit of pace at the moment is Marcel compared to Freddie. And I wonder if this will continue throughout the races we see this evening as well. Alvaro Carreton, he's not on any sort of stunning lap time at all, 3 seconds down on his 1:19.5. He is actually warming up his tyres a little bit more, so maybe an additional...
Oh, the big moment there for David Tonitza on exit of Ascari. That's going to now cost him all the way down this back straight. And if you saw that on data in real life, it'd just be struggling all the way in terms of top speed. Out of the last corner, open the DRS, wide open, and that is P4 for David Tonitza, right up there.
P4 for Tonitza, Jarno Opmeer round the final corner, and then we'll go to my student on the desk, who's got his hand up as well. Jarno Opmeer over the line, he does a 1:19.0, and does exactly the same lap time as Freddie Rasmussen. Love that. Tom, what have you got to say?
I was just wondering, I put my hand up if I could go to use the bathroom, but seeing as it is live, Steph, can I change my top 4?
No.
You can't do that.
No, but here's my thing, right? I know I can't, and I'm backing Daniele right here and Lucas, but then I forgot there's Brendan Lee. And then I forget Barry Boromon. You got to back Barry. That is what we've learned.
No.
Hashtag back Barry.
Hashtag back Barry.
You've locked in your top 4.
No, I know I have, but I just want everybody who is watching to know that I didn't forget the other drivers. I suddenly realised there is so many good drivers in this.
That sounds like forgetting to me. Daniele Haddad. So, well, there you go. Tom's changed his predictions, and Haddad is last in this session. So I wonder if there's a link there.
I'm trying to lift the curse. That's what I'm trying to do. But that is what I love about this qualifying, is the fact that anyone can be in that top 4. And I love the fact that Matthias van Erven is representing for Haas. I'll be sort of willing him on, but then maybe I've cursed him as well. But
you're always willing on Haas.
Well, of course I am. That's catchphrase for me. But I love the fact that he is leading the way for Haas, and the pressure's on Simon Weigang for Alfa Romeo as well to try and deliver more points on the board.
Love that, Tom.
Can I go to the toilet now?
You may.
I was just kidding. I don't need to go.
Please take your mic off if you do. Barry is the fastest driver at the moment in Q2, almost dipping into the 1:18s, a 1:19.006. Let's hear some team radio.
Fuck me, the mistakes on the lap are disgusting. That was so bad, man.
Not sure what he said at the start of that, but
The
I'd
what?
probably apologise for it if anyone was offended by that
sorry
language.
if you were offended. Not sure what he said.
Yeah, I didn't see any ducks, so I don't know what he's talking about on the track.
He said my mistakes on that lap were disgusting, and I imagine disgusting mistakes for an F1 Esports standard driver is about 0.004 of a second. So it'll be interesting to see if Jarno goes into the 118s when he goes for another lap time, which I'm sure he will. Will Barry stay in the pits with a 119.006 and try and save a set of soft tyres for Q3, Nick? That could be a shout.
If I was him, Matt, I definitely would.
just
I think he's
make yourself a
100%
coffee.
safe. He's got to be safe. Chill out, make yourself a coffee, just wait. We'll let everybody else stress out.
If you were Barry Burman, Steph, would you be going out again, or do you feel quite comfortable P1 at the moment?
Do you know what? I agree with Nick. I wouldn't go out. I mean, if you look at the difference as well between P1 and P15, that's like 7/10 of a second. That's quite a lot. So the guys at the bottom would have to do a hell of a lot to be able to displace him so far that he would end up
Yeah, absolutely.
falling out of Q2.
Haddad's a little bit of an anomaly because I guess after that it's Job with a 0.4, but it's still 0.4, which is bigger than what we've seen, even though we did hear a team radio earlier saying this is going to be the closest qualifying session of the season. I perhaps think that's a jinx now because this is quite a big gap between the fastest and P10 in Weigang. There's 0.3 of a second, so maybe I'll be eating my words.
Matt,
Sorry?
I'd go out again. I'd go out again. I'll go against the grain.
I was
Yes,
going to ask
but-
you.
No, I just wanted to get in there now. I'd go out again because why not? After the last year we've had, just get out, have a stretch your legs.
But Tom, this is why you're sitting there.
Hang on a
While
minute.
you're sitting
Have I
there
been
and they're
demoted? Is that
driving.
what's happened? After the quality show, when Nick wasn't here in event 1, you've banished me over here.
Next, you'll be sat in one of the audience seats.
Take it. They're comfy.
But, I mean, the reason to not go out again, Tom, would be to save a set of tyres so you can have an extra bite of the cherry in Q3. So maybe not stretching the legs.
Fine. Sit back in the pit, chat to the to the mechanics, the whole team, but whack the softs on. That's another catchphrase.
And then fly it into the last corner.
Do what you want. Just make
Yeah.
sure that at the end of Q2 you go, I was top. Guys, I was the daddy. Don't worry about
I
Q3.
was the daddy.
Yeah, that's the
That
catchphrase. I'm
sums
the daddy.
everything that I've said in this show so far.
I'm the
Right,
daddy.
let's go full screen and forget that ever happened. Lucas Blakely into turn 1 now. And he is going to try and improve on a 119.222. And let's see what he's like in that first sector. He has someone right behind him who I don't think that Alpine is on a lap. There's a lot of drivers out there on outlaps. Lucas through the first sector, 44 thousandths up, which will put him into a 0.1 if he continues the way he did on his previous lap time. We now head down towards Lesmo 1. You've got to just dip your car into the groove of the corner. And then through Lesmo 2 as well. Crucial on the exit, maybe at the back end stepping out a little bit, complaining. You push the car too hard, those tyre temperatures can go through the roof. Now we head to Ascari. Can Lucas nail this, keep it on rails? And looks pretty tidy to me. Through that middle sector, he is fastest of anybody. So Lucas, he needs to get through to Q3 again if he wants to continue to mount the pressure on the Drivers' Championship and also help Aston Martin to get right to the top of the teams. Round the final corner, Lucas comes. Is this going to be anywhere near the top? He uses pretty much all the track limits he's allowed. Shortens the distance to the line. Lucas over the line. It is a 119.007. It's 1,000th of a second behind Burman, who is still in the pits crucially. So Barry keeping a set of soft tyres to himself for the Q3 session. Marcel Kiefer he is carrying on this lap. How is he doing? Let's have a look and see. He is improving in the first, improving in the middle. This isn't going to trouble Barry Burman at the top of the timesheets. This could still be around on the cusp. Marcel doesn't go for the shortest line and actually does not improve. So I think he must have backed out of that lap.
He's starting his lap now.
Huge pressure for Marcel Kiefer now down in P14. Alvaro Carreton comes over the line. It's only 11th. He does not improve. Simon Weigang now. He goes straight to
That's
P5.
a great lap from
great lap
Weigang.
from the Alfa Romeo. As you say, Nick, great lap from Simon. Tom is clapping away. David Tanitsa, Steph's prediction for pole position. Can he make it through to Q3? We're about to find out. We've got no more seconds left in this Q2 session. David Tanitsa around the final corner. He's got a car on the inside. It's his teammate. Jarno Opmeer goes fastest on an 18.9. David Tanitsa only good enough for 9th. That could be quite sketchy as to whether he makes it through to Q3. Danny Moreno now in the Mercedes. Where is he going to put his car. It's a second place. It's a Mercedes 1-2 at the
Wow.
moment. That's a great lap from the pair of the Mercedes drivers. Nicolas Longuet's now in danger. How is he doing on his lap? He's improving in both sectors. Running to the line, Longuet, he goes P6. That might well be good enough. Tanitsa is out of Q2 officially. Freddie Rasmussen now down in P8. Nick, this is crazy.
It's unbelievable. Look at the lap time that the Mercedes pair has given. 18.9 for both the drivers. Tanitsa now out. Freddie Rasmussen on the brink. This is now, it's super important for him to get the run to the line. Where is he going to go so that he is not in any danger? And that's P5 for Rasmussen.
P5. So, Steph, do you want to change it? Because both Brendan Lee and David Tanitsa.
You can't change it. You can't change it. I was told I couldn't change it. You can't change it.
Tom, I didn't realise this was your segment.
Wow.
Wow, I love the sass.
No, I'm upset. I'm upset.
To be fair, my P5 prediction, I think, is out as well. Alvaro Carreton, P11. And well, both Ferraris out in Q2 around Monza.
Yeah.
Can we say that you've jinxed them there, Steph?
I think I might have.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Tom, how's your various amount of predictions that you've got? You pretty much predicted every driver does everything. So.
Just looking at my notes, I think we're all good, Matt.
And Nick, what are you making so far of what you predicted and how Q2 went?
I mean, a couple of my predictions are still strong.
You had Tanitsa in second, I've been told.
Yeah, but I also
How's
had
that?
Otmir up in P1. didn't
Okay,
I?
all right.
So, which he is.
At the moment.
And I had Barry Burromund up there as well, back Barry, hashtag.
And, I think it's hashtag back Barry.
Yeah, but I just thought I'd add that in.
Fair.
And he is still there. So, it's a shame for David Tanitsa to not be there. And also Brendan Lee, especially Ferrari at their home circuit, they want to do a good job. But, there's not much in it at all. It's hard to say that they've done a bad job because they haven't.
Oh, lovely stuff. Let's take a look at who was eliminated in Q2 after that crazy end.
Oh,
to the session. Carreton,
No!
Lee, Van Erven, Tanitsa and Daniele Haddad.
No!
Are you okay, Tom?
I don't know if I am. I feel for these guys, especially the Ferrari guys going out. Matthias Van Erven making it a harder job for Haas to get any points in this. Alvaro Carreton, Mr. Inconsistent, but yet is a fantastic driver. Just that consistency hasn't come. Sometimes he's on point, you can't work it out. Other times he's not. But I think they'll all be really cheesed off at the fact they didn't quite make it to Q3. But I think the tactics from Back Barry, keeping a set of tyres ready for Q3, well done. I wouldn't have gone out again. He's gone with that strategy as well, so well done to Barry.
You said you would have gone out.
No, I said I would have gone out of the car and had a look around and just got out of the rig, just have a stretch.
Wow,
That's what I meant.
You're changing everything today, aren't you, Tom? Absolutely loving that. But no, Barry looking very strong indeed.
Very strong.
Wasn't in my top 5, regretting that.
He was in mine.
Severely.
He was my top 4.
Of course he is.
He's in my top 4,
always
let alone
he's
5.
always on your mind, old Barry. You love him.
Good old Barry.
You were always on my mind. Yes.
I love how Tom's just like just a backing singer for us now. You can continue, it's fine. But Barry, let's talk about him. Looking like potentially a favourite for pole position. He's got another fresh set of softs, without a doubt. Would you stick in P1 now in your predictions?
Or would I put in P1? At the moment, it looks like Danny Moreno and Jarno Otmir are doing an amazing job. I think they have, half a tenth on Barry. So I'm going to go with Otmir P1, Moreno maybe P3, and I think Barry will do P2.
Speaking of amazing jobs, Sebastian Job through to Q3.
Great.
That was smooth.
Hello.
Smooth.
Yeah, I mean, that's
a good
great
job.
performance.
It's a good job.
Yeah, there you go.
Done a
It's a great
great
performance from
job.
Sebastian. Let's see what he can do in Q3. So to run you through, it's Donoso, Job, Rasmussen, Burromand, Kiefer, Moreno, Weigang, Otmir, Longuet and Blakely. Great performance from Weigang as well. He put a great lap there to make it through to the final part of qualifying.
Yeah.
And we're about to find out who is going to be on the front row of the grid for tonight's race. Tom, you've got your hand up.
Yes, I do. I think we didn't shine a light on Sebastian Job enough in Event 1. He's coming into F1 Esports. Obviously,
Is it Job or Job? You've just said Job.
I think
I
it's
said Job.
Yeah, but either will do a job.
He's French though. No?
Seb, good old Seb.
Yeah.
in event 1, he didn't set any goals coming into F1 Esports and coming from a different discipline of sim racing. I think he's had a real job on his hands.
Come on.
And, no, I didn't do that deliberately, but that's well done me. But he's hoping to see consistent progress, which I love about him. And getting into Q3 is fantastic. And AlphaTauri need those points. But what I love about this, I tell you what, there's no mucking about from Aston Martin without Lucas Blakely getting those points on the board. Alpine, Ferrari are out of it, so we know that. But with Red Bull and Mercedes, when we're talking about the team championship, this is really, they're not mucking about, and that's what I love to see.
Not mucking about. No, they don't.
Could we potentially get a tow? Or could we see teammates playing a team game?
I feel as though the toe is disabled in qualifying.
Oh, well, that
might have to get confirmation.
that's disappointing.
Because otherwise, I think we would see that. But Marcel is carrying on his own through Lesmo 1 and Lesmo. Was that you, Tom? What did you just say?
He went, can I?
No, I cut myself off.
Okay, perfect. Thanks so much. Let's focus in on some. I guess these are actually worn tyre runs. Apart from what Barry will do, I would imagine. Simon Weigang, that 19.7 is not going to get him anywhere in this session. Marcel Kiefer has been maybe a little bit lucky to make it through because he's been on the cusp. I think in both of the Q1 and Q2 sessions, or at least somewhere near the danger zone, but managed to get through. And I guess that's what champion drivers and champion teams do.
They do, and it just shows, you know, this whole championship, year in, year out, all about performing. Q1, Q2, Q3, and one slight mistake, you're on the back foot, and then it is the people that have the most experience, you know, champion fight instinct that always seem to last gasp just to manage to you know, recover from the last minute.
So I heard in my ear there is still dirty air. I'm not sure that answers if there's slipstream. Maybe the drivers think that they lose too much time in the dirty air, that they don't get the slipstream advantage. Well, it doesn't give them an advantage. Freddie Rasmussen round the final corner. He is going to get us at this lap time, in fact, so he's going to come over the line. It's going to be a 1:19.086. That's a very good lap time straight out the blocks in this session. Barry Burramand through Ascari maybe took a little bit too much speed through there. It seemed like he had to try and scrub off a bit too much. Let's see what he's doing on this lap. Fastest first sector of anybody. His middle sector is very comparable to the fastest we've seen, and unless I'm mistaken, which I usually am, he might not be able to challenge Freddie Rasmussen, but let's see. He's driving towards the line now in the McLaren. Barry Burramand over the line. Yes, a 19.1, so I feel like he did lose a bit of time. He did. He was 0.2 off almost the fastest last sector that we've seen. Jarno Opmeer to the top of the timesheets, a 1:19.012. So we're seeing some very fast lap times already in this session, much slower than what we saw last year. Danny Moreno over the line, 1:19.1 for the Mercedes drivers. So it's a Mercedes 1.4, and we're still yet to see times from Donoso, Job, Longay and Blakely. Here is Longay, a qualifying specialist, but that is something that he's going to want to forget that time. But
might be old tyres.
Yeah, but he's invalidated it as well, so that is some sort of mistakes happened on that lap. He has used up a lot of his battery, so he'll be coming into the pits at the end of this lap to set his one attempt to get somewhere near the front. We've seen him do it time and time again in this F1 Esports series, and we will see if he can do it once more. Simon Weigang is still out there. I'm sure he'll be one of the first ones to pit, as he was the first to set a lap time. In he comes, and we now await to see where the likes of Donoso, who was top of Q1, where he can filter into this, because Alpine really need to start scoring some solid points with two drivers that, you know, have shown serious amounts of talent. Donoso, of course, in the first ever F1 Esports series in Abu Dhabi, which I'm sure you fondly remember, Tom.
Yeah, it was
when we
hot.
were out there.
That's what I remember.
Very
sweating.
hot.
I've never sweated like it, but can I just do a shout out, Matt?
Do it.
Yeah, it's not to my family. It's to Matthias van Erven. It's his first. I know he's out now. He's out of Q3, but that was his first Q2 appearance in F1 Esports. He's very happy with that, although there was much more in it today, pace-wise, which I love. And then the only rookie in Q3, again, deserves that shout out, Sebastian Job, which just says how competitive it is and that experience you definitely need in F1 Esports Series Pro Championship this year.
Oh, you're just...
Well done, Tom. You're the man.
I didn't make that up. My producer
Ticking
told
all
me
the
in
boxes. Ticking all the boxes today.
You gave me everything. I just read it word for word.
Yeah, I love that.
It's the
Absolutely love
notebook.
that.
It's the notebook.
It is. It is. It's a glorious, glorious notebook. So thank you, Tom. It's great to have you. Usually you're in Q1 and then off you go to have your hot drinks. But this time, we've got your insight in Q3.
Yeah, I'm very much out of my depth. The pink notebook does not stretch itself to Q3. Dirty air? Yes, there is some, but I don't know about a toe.
Thank you so much, Tom. We can continue to do this back and forth whilst they're in the pits if you want.
Oh, yeah, I'd love to.
Yeah? Anything else that you want to add to this this beautiful qualifying show?
I regret saying yes. I just think with something like Jarno and Otmir, I just going into this.
Jarno and Otmir?
Well, yeah, Jarno and the Otmir, they're a band. Mercedes, 78 points going into this. Red Bull, I think we can all agree, weren't as good as we expected. They were a little bit disappointing for what we expected from Event 1. But Aston Martin, I feel like with Red Bull, knowing what they have to achieve, Marcel has to pull it out of the bag a little bit. He hasn't been as good as we expected, and he hasn't delivered yet. So this could be the moment for Marcel to really say, hey, 2021, I'm in.
What a lovely segue. Just before I go to you, Nick, we're going to hear from Marcel Kiefer right now.
I don't know what to do. Should I send it with 1 lap or should I go for save 2 laps and maybe get, I don't know. I could either start at the back or I could start maybe mid or pole, I don't know.
I'd always start sending it. If you're invalid in the first chicane, you can always take it slow for another lap.
So he's asking his team what strategy they want him to do in Q3. Send it, try and get pole, but could start 10th. But then they make a very good point. The soft tyres may be able to last if you just treat it very tenderly indeed, if you mess up the first sector. So let's see what Marcel decides. Hopefully it's a send, because, well, for his sake, he wants to get near the front, especially with Mercedes looking very strong indeed. All drivers, apart from Nicholas Longate, Danny Moreno as well. Both those two are in the pits. Everybody else out on track, Nick.
Yeah, I'm upset because you said you were going to come back to me, but you didn't.
Well, I've done it now.
I had to put my hand up.
I've done it now.
But,
sorry, you can get in the queue. No, Tom's got his hand up all the time.
Anyway, so yeah, let's see.
It has to be a big point now, by the way. This has to be incredible.
Let's see.
This better be good.
Let's see if Marcel Kiefer does send it or not, because we have seen from Joni Tourmala, who made a mistake, didn't he, on his softs in Q1. Made it, I think, by the exit of Lesmo 2, and he took so much out of his tyres that he wasn't able to recover it for his second lap. So if I was him, I would definitely go and send it.
Absolutely.
And then, but I also wanted to say that Simon Weigang, I'm really, really plugging for him. I want to see if he gets a decent result because he's in Q3.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on him. Freddie Rasmussen, hence the noise that I just made, is 1/10 up on his first sector time. However, Sebastian Job, actually, he was out there. He set the fastest first sector, but his middle sector was very steady indeed, so not anything doing. Freddie Rasmussen nearly 2/10 up on a 19.0. We're going to see Freddie, all being well, round the final corner, dipping well into the 1-minute 18s. But no, he's backed out.
Is he backed out of that?
I am shocked.
Matt,
Maybe invalidated.
Matt, may I ask a question? And this is
Sure, we're in the heat of Q3, but sure.
Okay, would you say, and I'm really putting it out there was a little bit of indecision from Marcel Kiefer. The results haven't come in Event 1.
We will find out very shortly because Marcel Kiefer coming around the final corner now. Is he going to get near the front of the field? He is indeed. It's a 1:18.9. It's the top of the standings for Marcel Kiefer at the moment. 15 seconds remaining in this qualifying session. Barry Burraman, #BackBarry is the hashtag that Nick Hamilton has created in this show. What's he going to be like through this middle sector? He's on a 19.1 at the moment. No, he's down. He's a 1/10.5 down on his lap time, so he's not going to improve out there. That's unfortunate for Barry. He's still pushing on to see if he can do something miraculous in this final sector. But to answer your question, Tom, no, Marcel did not do whatever you suggested because he's fastest at the moment. Barry, I don't think is going to even be able to improve, let alone challenge Marcel Kiefer. Let's have a look. He's going to run to the line. Has he done a really good last sector to move up? Oh, he has not improved at all. B4 is going to be the best for Barry. Jarno Otmir over the line, goes provisional pole position in the Mercedes. A great lap. Fabrizio Donoso goes P3, also on an 18.9. That is 12 thousandths of a second separating the top three. This is ridiculous. This is F1 Esports Series in a nutshell. Danny Moreno round the final corner. Can he match? Oh, that was very close to track limits, I reckon, for Danny Moreno. Comes over the line now. Where does he go? P4 it is for Danny Moreno. So it's Otmir, Kiefer, Donoso, Moreno. Have we got any improvements out there from Freddie Rasmussen? Lucas Blakely has not set a lap time yet. He comes over the line for P4. Another 18.9. Jeez, that's 17,000 separating the top 4. That is ridiculous. And as we were promised in Q1, that is one of the closest qualifyings we've ever had. And unfortunately for Weigang, it's only P10 for him. But there you go, there's Jarno Otmir. He is going to start on pole position alongside Marcel Kiefer in the Red Bull later this evening. What a qualifying, Steph.
Indeed. Lucas Blakely, leaving it to the last minute a bit. How do you feel about that, Tom?
Well, I predicted him in my top 4. Thanks, Steph. Your segment, not mine. And I'm very chuffed that I got 50% right. But what I was going to say, I'm just curious from Nick's perspective and you guys as well, is that indecision from Marcel Kiefer. Was it indecision? Asking the team? He's obviously proved me. I wasn't trying to, put him in the wrong there at all in any way, shape or form. But that indecision coming in for a driver when you're not getting the results, I wondered, Nick, is that kind of the death of a driver sometimes when you're having to ask the questions, or is it just down to instinct? I know what I'm doing in this situation.
Yeah, I mean, when you're super confident on yourself, you wouldn't need to ask a question from the team because you make a decision in your head straight away. But I think Marcel knows that he could do with, a decent result, and maybe he believes he couldn't have pulled the lap out straight away. But he did a decent job, I would say. It's just how tight the whole field is.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, he's starting P2, so Tom's point was invalid.
It was more that when you're asking those questions and he hasn't had those results, suddenly he has asked those questions.
I know what you mean.
We heard them and we're like, suddenly he's P2. So maybe he needs to rely on the team more. I'm thinking for the other drivers, and if things aren't going right, you're not getting those results, what do you do in that time? Lean on your team. But Sebastian Job, great stuff from him.
Yeah, and it was a little bit of a strange question from Kiefer because, you would think that a driver of Kiefer's calibre, maybe it's because of the fact Red Bull haven't really got off to a great start this year that he's thinking, right, OK, what do you want from me? Do you want consistent, maybe I'm going to finish P5 in this race instead of potentially starting P10 in the race and then not being able to get as many points? That's something that they're having to constantly weigh up, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's really, really interesting to see that relationship with the drivers and their teams. It's very easy to think it's just a driver driving, but it's not. There's a whole team of people behind them, and they've all got influences on these decisions. But yeah, I'm happy to see him up there. I'm happy that Marcel was kind of taken the leap.
Yeah,
to
he's taken the leap.
Join the Pro Championship this year.
Cool, that's your good phrase of the day. So for your prediction thing, it is that you get the correct position, right? It's not top 4 wherever it is, because that's what kind of Tom was doing earlier. He was like, this is my top 4, whatever order you fancy, give me some points, maybe I can change a few in Q2. So we will actually see the results from the top 10 right now. So let's take a look and see how it all ended up. The Italian Grand Prix qualifying. Jarno Otmir on pole position ahead of Marcel Kiefer. Fabrizio Donoso, what a result from him. Only 12 thousandths off pole position. Look at those gaps. I can't get my head around that. Moreno in P5, just over half a tenth behind his teammate, who's 4 places ahead. Sebastian Job, you've got to give him a round of applause. P6 in the AlphaTauri surely gives them a great opportunity to finally get off the mark. And then you've got Freddie Rasmussen, maybe slightly disappointed in P7. Barry Burraman down in P8. And then Nicholas Longue, who is usually a qualifying specialist, down in P9. That's just the beauty of F1 Esports, isn't it, Nick?
I just wanted to make
your throat.
Just clear my throat and also make a statement saying that Jarno Otmir getting P1 and also
here we go.
Lucas Blakely
he's gonna
in
start
P4.
getting,
That is actually 2.
Let's actually have a look and see how
2 of them.
many.
2 of them of what I chose.
Good. So I got none right.
Yeah.
You got. How many did you get? You got 2 right.
Oh,
and Steph,
job.
you got none. So Nick is going to be smug for the rest of the show. Tom is clapping away.
Well, I just want to say that I got the same amount as Nick. I didn't know we had to put them in an order.
Oh, you got no. You don't get points, Tom. Sorry, mate. You don't.
That is. I would like to. I'm going to go to the appeals. I'm going to talk to the marshals about that. I am not happy
You're
about
going to talk to the marshals. The marshals stand on the marshal post.
Yeah, I'm going to talk to them because they treat me with a bit of respect round here.
So how do you feel, Nick? You've just come out.
Great.
And I can see it.
Yeah,
I can see your
great.
smile.
I'm already leading this championship, and I love that. I love that straight away. It's the first championship I've led in a long time.
Oh.
Probably the first one ever.
See, you covered off any joke that myself or Tom were going to make there.
I know,
by
I just started to take the mick out of myself. Why not?
No, why not? This
Yeah,
show
what
is
it's
all
all
about
about.
taking the mickey. Steph, you were so confident coming into it. You almost had a bit of like, oh, yeah, I've got this. 0 points, 2 of your drivers out in Q2, I think. How, are you feeling a bit more reality
Save
now?
Steph.
Hashtag save Steph.
Yeah,
Hashtag
please
save
do.
Steph.
More alliteration. Yeah, no, I'm quite disappointed, but I'd like to think that it was my own fault that I jinxed them. So next time, I'm just going to
Not make any predictions, and then...
I'm just going to predict someone so far-fetched that it won't happen.
But then you won't get any points. Anyway, we'll continue that conversation. We've actually got someone on the line that we probably want to speak to, and that's Marcel Kiefer. Marcel, how are you feeling, my friend?
Hello there.
Front row of the grid, P2. We heard a bit of indecision with your team discussing, shouldn't I go for it? Should I maybe set 2 bankers rather than 1 fast lap? It looks like you went for the fast lap.
I actually went for the bankers, but I was sending it on the first one, it worked out. On the second one, I was like, okay, I have a decent lap in, so I will send it even more, and this one didn't work out so much, but in the end, P2 is a good result, just behind Pockmer. We'll make it hard for him in the race, though.
So you're telling me an 18.9 was a banker? Is that what you're saying?
Well, for the final run, yeah.
OK, fair. Cool. P2, everybody else behind you is like, OK, that was a Marcel banker. So how are you feeling about the race? Of course, Monza, Nick mentioned it earlier in the show as well, that we're most likely going to see quite a big DRS train. Are there things that you can do with the strategy in order to maybe get track position on Otmir, or do you not want track position until the very end of the race? I know you're not going to tell me, but give us some insight.
I mean, there are multiple options to do that. Like, one thing is getting track position and hoping that you can keep Jarno behind, but this is difficult because the track is just really easy to follow and you probably gain like 4 to 5 tenths on a straight with DRS. So being in the lead just burns your ERS off, and the others just have a great time while saving tires and ERS. But I don't know yet. It really is a thing of adapting in that situation. It was also in Silverstone. Silverstone is also fairly easy to follow, or it will be. So yeah, this is just a really tricky situation. I mean, in the game, in overall, it will also be in Spa case. In any kind of track, we have to stay in the DRS, wait with the ERS, and make kind of more strategic moves like over strategy or something else. But yeah, I have to see later.
OK, and also just one final question from me. In terms of the track itself, where would you say is kind of the most difficult part for the drivers to maybe carry on the momentum and keep everything in check, like tyre temperatures, etc.? Is there a particular part of the track that you don't dread, but it's maybe not the most fun part?
I think it's actually on Monza a case of keeping the tires warm. Like the front right is really cold usually. It's really hard to warm that up. I don't think we have any problems with keeping the tires in a working window during the race. And I think also my race pace should be better than my quali pace. I was actually a bit worried here. I did struggle in Q1, I did struggle in Q2, and then I sent it in Q3. So this is definitely my worst track of this event. So P2 is not too bad, and I will just try and do the best in the race.
Well, that's what champion drivers do, Marcel. Thank you for joining us, and best of luck for the races this evening. There you go, then. So there's Marcel. As he mentioned himself, quite rightly, Q1, Q2 was both a struggle, but then sticks it on the front row of the grid. That's an awesome performance.
Yeah, and that just shows how strong he is mentally, because when you're struggling, you're like, oh, struggled in Q1, struggled in Q2, to then be able to have the confidence to put that right and, as he said, send it in Q3 is really difficult. So good on him.
He just sent it, didn't he? As you say, like he didn't seem particularly underconfident when we were speaking to him just then, did he?
Yeah, and then he was like, oh, P2, not too bad. I think P2's pretty good. Pretty good to be on the front row after kind of the way he was performing in Q1 and Q2. So, top job.
Top job, absolutely.
Even though he's not Seb job.
Oh, nice. OK, I like the way you've segued into that. We're not speaking about Seb job, though. We're actually going to do our driver, as expected, under overperform section. So who has got overperformed?
Matt, I haven't got a card. What's going on?
Tom, you're not
part of the crew,
mate. I'm sorry. Has no one said to you that you're not part of this? I'm sorry. Who's got... I love you so much. Overperform, please.
Me.
You overperformed.
You personally.
Wow.
In this show.
Wow.
I think I have.
Yeah, did you hear how I said he's going to get smug as soon as he gets 2 points in this championship?
Without a doubt. I'm already leading this championship.
No, we're talking about qualifying, my friend.
Sorry.
Who have you got on your card?
Sebastian Job.
Oh, lovely. Let's speak about him.
Great job.
P6, wasn't he, in the end, which was an amazing result from him. And we're going to stop saying he's done a great job because we've said that about 100 times.
Yeah, we've exhausted that joke.
We have, but you can see him round the final corner. I'm sure he'll be very happy indeed to get himself in the mix of it. And AlphaTauri, very surprised probably for you, Tom, to see the likes of Joni Tormala, Sebastian Job not having scored any points yet in this season.
Yeah, I find it a little bit shocking, I have to say. I'm currently getting called out online for saying that Alvaro Carton is Mr. Inconsistent. That is not his
it was a bit
nickname.
harsh.
That was not his new nickname. But sometimes when you see a driver not getting the results you want... Anyway, you asked me about AlphaTauri. Yes, I'm disappointed they haven't got a point yet. But they're showing, as we know, any of these teams can do well on their day. And Sebastian Job is running things at the moment. And Joni Tormala needs to get back to form as soon as possible because then hopefully they can work as a team.
Lovely stuff. Let's do, as expected, that's me, Freddie Rasmussen. So let's talk about him. I think that's I mean, obviously we get these cards. I wouldn't say that's as expected. I'd say this is probably an underperformance a little bit from Freddie Rasmussen, starting P7. But you know, would you say that's fair as expected? I'm not so sure.
But don't forget he backed out of his lap and he was actually 2 tenths up on a 19.0. So to put him on an 18.8 if he
being validated it. So
he did, yeah.
If
so, I mean, he had the pace to be pole, I would say.
Yeah.
So yeah, it wasn't. I wouldn't say it's as expected. It's a bit of a shame, but he still hasn't done a bad job.
Yeah, and he's still very much there or thereabouts for the race, isn't he, Steph? You know, P7, more than enough opportunity to get himself towards the podium.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would say he kind of performed as expected. The Red Bulls aren't necessarily super quick around Monza in real life and in
as a
Pro
trend.
Championship.
Yeah.
So I wasn't expecting Marcel to be P2. I wasn't expecting, you know, massive waves from Freddie. But yeah, definitely there's things he can do in the race. It's definitely doable. A podium potentially. Who knows? Maybe that's ambitious.
I expected him to be on pole, so I was against you on that one. But P7, Tom, what are you doing now? I can see faces and looks from you.
I just wanted to add in. I'm a little bit. That's not expected from me. I expect better from Freddie in terms
You're with
of
me.
the result. Yeah, I'm with you. Always, Matt.
Oh,
Never
darling,
against you.
stop it.
But because I feel like there's more for Freddie to offer that he hasn't there. If Nick's saying he backed out a little bit, you're like, why? Well, then you think about it logically, they didn't know whether Marcel should send it or to bank. And so I think there was a little bit of inconsistency and not working out their strategy as a team. But hey, look, he's still in the points and we'll see what happens in the race.
Yeah, I think Freddie was a great example of someone who sent it a bit too hard, looked like he invalidated it because he was on a very quick lap. So once it's invalidated, it's gone. Anyway, now underperformed. Steph?
We've got David Tinitza.
Oh, do you want to talk about that? Your poll prediction? Let's do it.
Yeah, no, I'm very gutted. I mean, as I mentioned before, he is the most successful qualifier around Monza. So obviously, history would suggest that he would be successful again, and history was wrong. So
history was wrong. Yes, Nick.
And just to support Steph with her decisions of her top 4 predictions was that she chose 2. Which is Ferrari basically, and they've got what 3 championships between them.
Yeah.
Also, so she's picked very successful drivers, and it's just a shame that they haven't performed to the level that she expected them to.
That we all expect.
I was not expecting this alliance to happen right at the end of the show. Absolutely loving this, but we're going to have to stop you there and take a look at what's going to be happening in this evening's show. So we've got it coming up at 7:30 p.m. BST. We have the races from Silverstone and Monza. I promise you, it is going to be an awesome, awesome event. Thank you to Tom, thank you to Steph, thank you to Nick, and we'll see you very soon, later today, for the races. Goodbye.